What's up, guys? This is Bolt Struck with Duck, and don't worry, the Chargers can't hurt you anymore this season. So, yeah, we are going over the disappointing, to say the least, loss, also a conservative word to use there, against the Houston Texans in the playoffs. So, lot to talk about, going to go over Justin Herbert's performance, the Chargers' performance in general, how I felt like the season went, and then my predictions for the future, which is arguably the most important part. So let's go over the loss itself and the narrative surrounding Justin Herbert. So I am the, number one Justin Herbert supporter. For whatever reason, I've been a Charger fan my entire life. Of course, my fandom, my loyalty is to the Chargers. I've always coincidentally had soft spots for the quarterbacks, right? Even to this day, Philip Rivers is my favorite NFL player of all time. So of course, Chargers come first, right? I didn't follow Philip Rivers to Indianapolis. Chargers have always come first. And then it's like quarterback right there till I die. And that's not like, I didn't have this undying allegiance to Tyrod Taylor. It's just we've happened to have, these amazing franchise quarterbacks who I think are also great, great people, to root for. So with that being said, you know, you can absolutely pin this loss on Justin Herbert if you want to, and that would be fair. Yeah, I mean, he was undeniably horrible. Um, he didn't have much help. I saw people talking about like the majority of the Chargers offense, I think outside of Rashawn Slater, had the worst or the second worst performance of their career, essentially. Right. Justin Herbert had never thrown more than two interceptions in a game, and he doubled that in that game. He had thrown three interceptions in the entire calendar year of 2024. In one single game of 2025, he surpassed those interception numbers. So, two of those interceptions, not his fault. The one to Quentin Johnston was the egregious one. I I maybe that's play calling. Maybe Greg Roman was like throw a jump ball no matter what, because that play was clearly designed for Quentin Johnston. Um, which one? Stop doing that, Greg Roman. Stop dialing up jump balls to Quentin Johnston. He's never caught a ball where he's had to leave his feet with a defender in the area. Just stop throwing him that. But even then, it's like Justin Herbert should know not to throw those by now. So again, just, that's a performance you can't defend. I wouldn't give him a playoff choker narrative yet. Just he's played two career playoff games. I to this day will argue that Jacksonville performance was not a bad performance. He had one missed throw in that Jacksonville game that would have been a touchdown to Keenan Allen. They settled for a field goal. Even in the second half, the Chargers missed a field goal. He put up enough points in a playoff game where you should expect to win the game. Could he have been better? Of course. Could he have been worse? Of course. Have other great quarterbacks had worse playoff games than that Jacksonville game while coming out with a win? Also, of course. I always say my litmus test for football knowledge is whether you think wins are a quarterback stat. Obviously, you could pick a game like this last one against the Texans and say if Herbert played better, they win the game. But again, teams can win with horrible quarterback performances. Teams can lose with great quarterback performances. So it's just one of those things like, unfortunately for Herbert, this will follow him. This is, this is going to be a worse version of the Josh Allen thing where it's like he could throw for 6,000 yards next season. No one's going to care till he gets into the playoffs. And just, yeah, again, a bummer because he, of course, owned it, had some bad mistakes. If you question that he's our franchise guy, I think you're nuts. I think, something that people are conveniently leaving out is, people are using this game to justify the narratives they already have in their head. You don't accidentally have the debatably greatest individual first 5 years to start a career of any player in NFL history on accident, right? It's like this one playoff game, or you could argue 2 playoff games, does not outweigh 5 years of excellent quarterback play. Justin Herbert had the greatest rookie year of a quarterback ever with a horrible offensive line. He threw for 5,000 yards with horrible coaching, and he dragged that Brandon Staley-led team to the playoffs, had a horrible offensive cast, and led his team to the playoffs. And so just, so that's enough about Justin Herbert and just about the entire team. Again, everyone had a bad game except for Lad McConkey, who's going to be a stud for a while. The defense did their job until it seems like just the wheels kind of fallen off from being out of the game towards the end, which you can't necessarily fault them for. But some great pieces to build forward. And kind of speaking of the future, well, let's recap the season so far. So on the bright side, because everyone's so negative and it's hard not to be as a fan of this franchise. If after last year 5-12, someone said the Chargers are going to hire Jim Harbaugh and make the playoffs next year, you wouldn't even ask if they won a playoff game. You'd just be like, that's fantastic. And then if I were to tell you that this is going to be the worst roster of the Jim Harbaugh era, it's like realistically, you can always win the Super Bowl when you make the playoffs. Chargers firepower is outmatched. It would have been great to have a playoff win just for the Herbert narratives, just for us. But realistically, this wasn't the year. They're going to have, I think it's like $55-60 million in cap space next year. But they do have some tough decisions to make. Guys like Khalil Mack may retire. Joey Bosa, Asante Samuel, you've probably seen the last of in a Chargers uniform. Underrated guy they have to bring back, in my opinion, is Poona Ford. I mean, that guy was a monster. And the Chargers haven't had a good interior defensive lineman in probably over, a decade that I can remember. So if you can convince Khalil Mack to come back for one more year, re-sign Poona Ford, I would extend Rashawn Slater. Derwin James is eligible for an extension. I would hold off unless it's a reasonable number. I would re-sign Keenan Allen just for some continuity with Justin Herbert, and he's still a fan favorite and he can still produce. So those are my big moves in the draft. Obviously, you need a tight end, need interior O-line, so whether that means a center and then you pick up a guard in free agency or vice versa. We'll have to see what they do with J.K. Dobbins. I would bring him back at a reasonable number. If the number's crazy, we'll see who's out there. But to me, those are the primary concerns. We have 2 awesome lockdown corners in the secondary. I think you can bring back some of these guys cheap. Some of these guys like Tony Jefferson, who started stepping up, playing well, just to have a gut feeling like they'll want to come back, right? Like guys like Tony Jefferson literally came out of retirement to come play for the Chargers. I think he proved he should be, on the team next year and actually on the team, not just practice squad jumping. But so guys like that, try to get Khalil Mack back, try to bring Poona Ford back, a couple other guys like J.K. Dobbins, Tony Jefferson. Let's see if we can get him at a deal. Let's get Keenan Allen back. And yeah, tight end, interior O-line are the huge causes of concern. So if you can shore that up, I mean, this is a fantastic roster. Lad McConkey is here to stay. And again, all the cap space in the world to do it. We have the coaching, at least from Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter. Greg Roman is the tough one. It's like he had games where it's like, oh, he's learning, he's good. And then it's like he just reverts back to like what he knows. Maybe getting him some offensive weapons will help. Because the tricky thing is like Justin Herbert's had so many different coaches, like you want some continuity. My prediction is they will keep Greg Roman. But let me know down in the comments below if you think they should keep Greg Roman for continuity's sake and the fact that he seemed like he was getting better as the season went along, or if you think they should find, someone else. But so those are kind of my predictions for the future. Overall, I do think the season was a success, and this roster should be much better next year. It's a deep running back class. That's also a position we can go for. Deep tight end class we need. They got a lot of money to spend. And then just real quick, not to get cheesy on you guys, but I do appreciate your support on the channel. It's of course still a small channel for now, but it's nice to know that people want to hear me talk about stuff I already enjoy talking about. So like talking with you guys, keep commenting below, and I will keep putting out videos throughout the playoffs, throughout the off season. About the games, and then also just random things like, I could do my Chargers collection and going over old Chargers stuff. But so let me know what you'd like to see post season me post in the comments down below. Let me know how you feel about the season in general, Justin Herbert, and the Chargers' future moving forward. Again, comment that down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe for more Chargers content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.